Hello friends, my name is Vaibhav and in this particular video we are going to cover class 11th chapter Python fundamentals. So after finishing this particular video you will be having a complete understanding of Python fundamentals chapter of class 11. Okay. So before starting the chapter I will be discussing few important facts related to programming. So as we all know that Python is a programming language. Python is a programming language. Okay. Here written the short definition of Python programming language. It is a high level interpreted and general purpose language. High level interpreted and general purpose language. And first we will be understanding the classification of computer languages, which is consist of two types. Actually the computer languages are consist of, there are computer languages. So there are two types of computer languages. First, if we talk about, first one is high level language and second one is low level language. Now we will understand what are high and what are low level language. So all the languages that are human understandable are comes in the category of high level language, or comes in the category of high level languages. And what are low level languages? The languages that are computer understandable, or the computer works under low level language, or computer understands low level languages. And we have understood that the computer only understands 0 and 1. So is that low level language associated with 0 and 1? Kind of, we can see that, we can say that. So and how these programming languages or how the code that we write works inside the computer, we will be having a brief understanding about that. Now here comes a problem arises when we talk about high level languages and low level languages. We understand only high level languages and computer understands only low level language. So there is a communication gap. Suppose I understand some language and some other person understand only Japanese language and I understand English. So there is a communication gap. We cannot communicate very well in order to have a conversation with that person. So we need a translator. So just like that, in computer also we need a translator in order to make a computer understand what are the instructions we are giving to that computer. As we know that computer is used only for, computer does not do anything on its own. We know that IPO cycle, IPO, input, processing and output. We give some input to the computer, computer processes it and gives some output. Okay. In order to give that input or give that set of instructions to the computer, we need a language, and we understand only high level languages, which are programming languages. Suppose just like Python is a programming language. So in order to give instructions to the computer, we need to give it instructions in low level language, but it is not humanly possible to understand. We can give instruction in the low level language, but it is in general not possible. That is the discussion of some other topic. So in order to give instructions to the computer, we understand high level language and we write some code in low level language, and we have coded some translators that have some other names to convert these high level language code into low level language or machine understandable or machine readable code. I hope up to this point the discussion is clear to each and every person sitting here. Okay. So we need a, here in between we need a language translator. We need a language translator, or there are several types of language translators that are available. First one is known as compiler. Second is interpreter, and third one is assembler. These are the names of some language translator that are used to convert high level language to the low level language. I hope up to this point it is clear to everyone. Computer is used to process something. We give instructions to the computer, computer processes it and gives us some output. In order to give instructions to the computer, we use high level language, and computer, by using the language translator, computer converts it into a low level language which is computer understandable. Now we will move on to our definition. Python is a high level language. So now up to this point we have understood that Python is a high level language, and here it is written, it is interpreted language. It is interpreted language. Okay, so Python, first it is a high level language, after that it is also an interpreted language. Now we will understand in brief what is the difference between a compiler and an interpreter. Actually, compiler compiles a program in one go. Suppose we have written some program. Okay, suppose in this box we have written some line of code, and here is the compiler that is used to convert this code to in the form of zeros and ones or low level language or machine code, which we have understood further. Okay, so what compiler does, it converts the whole code into low level language in one go. और इफ़ यू अंडरस्टैंड इन हिंदी, ये पूरे प्रोग्राम को एक ही बार में हाई लेवल लैंग्वेज से लो लेवल लैंग्वेज में कन्वर्ट करता है. एंड इफ वी टॉक अबाउट इंटरप्रेटर, सपोज हियर रिटन सम कोड एंड वी हैव हियर इंटरप्रेटर. So interpreter interprets the program, it converts the program execution line by line, it converts program high level language to machine understandable code line by line. So this is the basic difference between compiler and interpreter. And we have understood by the definition, Python is an interpreted language. So the conversion of the code written in Python programming language into low level language or machine understandable code happens line by line. That is why Python is known as interpreted language. And next, dynamic programming and all we will understand later on in this chapter or some other chapter. Okay, so this is all about few things about Python. Now we will be moving to our next topic, which is character set. So in order to understand character set, we all know that Python is a programming language or it is some sort of language. When we talk about languages, suppose English language has some set of characters which is, we all know, A to Z, that is used to define whole English language. It is whole English language is used on these 26 characters. I hope it is clear to everyone. So according to that, Python or any programming language also uses some set of characters in order to write code in that particular language. So if we talk about definition, character set is a bunch of identifying elements in a programming language. Bunch of identifying elements means bunch of characters. And now we will see what are those characters. If we say that what is a Python character set, letters from A to Z, small and capital, 0 to 9 numbers, these special character, white spaces and some other characters. And if we talk about, you must have heard about the encoding systems that we use in computer. The very popular one is ASCII encoding system, and the modern one is Unicode encoding system. So all ASCII and Unicode characters are supported by the Python programming language, as we can see here. Okay. Now from here our main discussion of this chapter is going to start. Our first topic is tokens or lexical units. So first we will understand what are tokens, and after that the discussion will be going on about this particular topic. So what is tokens or lexical units? Token we can understand as the smallest unit of a program. Suppose we have written a very simple program in Python programming language like this. To print someone's name, we have written here name as a string. Suppose this is our first line of code. Now each individual unit that we can identify individually is a token. Smallest unit, I have said that smallest unit. Suppose we try to identify each element, then print could be a token, this could be a token, this name and this closing parenthesis. all these we can identify individually. So, all these are tokens, and it is a word and it is a like some punctuation marks and something. So, there are classification, there is classification among these. So, here the definition of tokens: individual elements that are identified by the programming language. Individual units, that means smallest, छोटी से छोटे individual unit that we can identify in a programming language is known as tokens. I hope up to this point it is clear to everyone. So, types of lexical unit we will see. There are 5 types of lexical units or tokens. Now that we have studied about the types of tokens or the categories of tokens, there are 5 categories as it is written over here. Now we will understand each of them one by one. So, our first one is keywords. So, as it is defined in its names, reserved words, reserved for Python compiler. Keywords are actually the words that carry some special meaning to the language compiler or interpreter. In each language, in every language, there are some keywords that have some different functionality for that particular language. For example, in Python, there is a keyword named print. Keyword named what? Print. So, this keyword is assigned or this keyword is used for a particular task which is printing something on the console. So, there are different types of keywords. As we see the definition over here, keywords are also called as reserved words. These are having special meaning to the Python language. Python language is to specify that Python language interpreter. We have seen that Python is an interpreted language. So, it is like that. And here is the list of keywords that is used in Python. For example, and keyword, assert, break, class, continue, def. So, all these keywords have different functionalities: if, in, lambda, print, return. Now, we will move on to our next topic, which is an identifier. So, identifier, as its name suggests, identifier is used to identify something. Suppose in programs we try to create variables for storing different types of data. We need to create variables. Suppose we have created a named memory location which is name. We have created a variable and the name of this variable is name, okay, and in this name it is pointing to, suppose x, y, z, it is someone's name and we have stored name in variable. We all know that the name is actually the name of variable. Suppose we have written class is equals to 9. So, class is the name of that variable and all these variables are used to identify something, identify these variables. That is why they are also known as identifiers. So, what is identifier? Identifier is something that is used to identify the name of a class, function or variable in Python programming language. So, in Python programming language, identifier is defined as following. So, a Python identifier is a name given to a function, class, variable, module or other objects used by the Python program. So, in short, it is appeared something A, B, C. These are the some names of identifiers. But here is the catch. We cannot assign a random name to any kind of variable in Python or any kind of list or function in Python. We cannot say that 1, 2 is equals to x, y, z. This is not a variable name. We cannot name a memory location as 1, 2 or 3, 4 or something. There are some certain rules that we need to follow in order to name a particular variable. So, first we will understand those rules and after that we will move on to our next topic. So, first we will be having rules for naming identifiers. So, one by one we will be understanding each rules that are used to name these identifiers. Our first rule is what we can use to name these identifiers. So, what we can use for naming these identifiers are capital A to Z, small a to z and 0 to 9 numbers. So, these things are allowed while naming a variable. And the second rule says we cannot start with number. we cannot start a variable name by using a number. Okay. Our third rule says we cannot use a special character. Special character cannot be used. For example, dash and at the rate, dollar sign, these are some special list of some special characters that we cannot use while naming an identifier, except there is an exception, underscore. We will see some examples of these also. And our fourth point says that the variable names or the identifier names are case sensitive. What is the meaning of case sensitive? The meaning of case sensitive is that the upper class variable, names having variables. For example, there are two variables. First one is capital AGE and second one is small AGE. Suppose both variables are having value which is 19. Suppose age is 19. Now, in computer memory, both variables will have different memory locations because they are having upper and lower case names. I hope up to this point it is very clear to all of us. So, in order to name our variable or while using those variables, we need to specially check whether it is uppercase or lowercase variable. So, these are some special rules that we need to follow in order to name variables. So, all these rules are written over here. We can go through by each slide one by one, which we can see. An identifier can be combination of uppercase, lowercase and all. First point, the first character must be letter. So, it is trying to say that we cannot use any number or something in the first character's place. Special characters are not allowed. Identifier should not begin with the numbers. Hence, two variables are valid, but variable 2 is not. See, this 2 variable is not valid, but variable 2 is valid. We cannot start. Suppose 2 name is equals to something and name 2 is equals to something. So, as we can see by the definition, 2 variable, it is starting by a number. So, this is an invalid identifier name and it is a valid identifier name. Python is a case sensitive language and this behavior extends to the identifier. So, as we have discussed, age, capital AGE and small AGE both are different variables. And our last point is you cannot use a Python keyword as an identifier. Yeah, this is the most important that I have left, I think. Suppose there are some keywords that we have studied earlier in previous topic. Okay. Suppose if we write if is equals to 30, is this a valid identifier or is this a valid variable? No. It is actually not a valid identifier name because this is an keyword. We all know that if is a keyword that is used to write conditional statements in Python. Okay. Conditional statements we will study in the next chapter maybe. So, it is an invalid identifier. So, as we can understand. So, our next topic is Python is a case sensitive language. This is completed. And next point, we cannot use Python keywords as an identifier. We have studied that. You can use underscores to separate multiple words in your identifiers. Suppose we want to write student's name as an variable name. Okay. So, we can write something like this: STUDENT, white space is also not allowed, underscore NAME is equals to, suppose Raj is the student's name. So, this is the valid identifier that we can write like that. So, when we try to separate two words, we can use the underscore sign, which is also a valid character while using the name of a variable, which is an identifier, as we have studied. Okay. So, these are some valid identifier names: my field 1, y3 something, my file, underscore, underscore, underscore. Now, we will see why these are invalid identifiers. Here dash is not allowed, 28 starting with number, break is a keyword, del it is a, maybe it is a def or del keyword, false it is also, both are keywords. So, that is why these are invalid. Now, third type of token that we are going to study is literals. As we know that identifier names are class functions or variables. Now, literals are not variables, okay. These are not something that varies, okay. Literals are something that that are constant or that does not change, value of those does not change during the program execution. So, these are called literals. As we can see is the definition, literals are also called constant or constant values. These values which never changes during the execution of the program. These are known as literals which never changes during the execution of program. There are few types of literal which we are going to study: string literals, numeric literal, boolean literal, special literal and literal collection. So, these are the 5 types of literals that we are going to study one by one. So, our first one is string literal. So, what is a string? First we need to understand what is a string. In order to understand the string, the simple definition is sequence of characters, sequence of characters. Which type of characters? We have studied in the first topic also. We have studied it in the first topic that characters that we can use in Python comes in the character set. So, 0 to 9 numbers, all Unicode characters. So, that we can use it here. Suppose someone says that it is a @129xyz. Is it a string? Are all those characters present in Python character set? Yes, of course. So, it is a valid string also. Some people must say that it is not a string, but it is a valid string because all the characters that I have written over here are valid to use in Python programming language. This is the definition: sequence of letters enclosed in letters. Actually, it could be more efficient if we write here that sequence of characters, sequence of letters enclosed in quotes are known as string literals or constant. Hello and hello. Acha. For writing these strings, we use single or double quotation marks. Single quotes are also allowed and double quotes are also allowed. Now, we will see the representation of the string. We have written a string named S, which is hello Python. So, there is a space. This is also considered as an character. Okay. So, by default the strings are indexed in Python programming language. As we can see the indexing over here, this is called forward indexing and this is called backward indexing. So, H is on the 0th index, E is on the first, then second, third and so on, and backward indexing -1 to -12 as we can see. So, if we want, we can access each character by using its index value or index number. Suppose we want to extract this P. So, index number of P is 6. So, we can write S and in square brackets we can give its index number which is 6. So, S6 will give us the value which is nothing but P. So, this is the value of index 6. So, representation of string. To access the first character of string, we have just created type and enter the variable name S. So, to enter the first character or to access the first character, what is the index number? It is 0. So, we will write S0. Okay. Last character we can also slen minus. Okay, len is also a function which is used to determine the length of the string. What is the length of the string? It is the number of characters present in a string, which is 11 for this example. And for last character 11 minus 1, which is number of characters. So, number of characters present in this particular string are not 11, actually it is starting from 0. So, there are 12 characters. So, 12 minus 1 which is 11 and 11th index पे क्या present है हमारा n present है. So, the output of this expression is basically n. So, this is the all about strings. Now, we will move. As we have studied about the forward indexing, just like that backward indexing is also S minus 1 if we write, we will also get n because this is -1 index. Okay. So, now we will understand what are the types of strings. So, first I will explain each type, then we will go through the slides what are written over here. So, the